Hi WLS fam, it is Thursday night, almost Friday, and just feel like chatting, I guess. I got a message from someone today, and she has a point. Her execution of it might have been a little flawed, but she has a point. My worries and woes about this weekend are small beans in a long journey. My therapist, I have a therapist, because I knew I couldn't do this process without one. I knew that while my sleeve was my tool to help with the physical part, I needed someone to be there to help with the mental part, because that's the real issue. And a little history about me, so that you all know kind of where I'm coming from. If you haven't seen my introductory videos, I have never been a small person. I've never been thin, I have never been normal, I have never been healthy. The smallest size I ever remember wearing is a size 16, and I was 12 years old. I've always been this way, and my parents have always been trying to help me figure out not to be this way, and that my life would be so much better, and I didn't get it. And I would get it for short periods of time. There was a time in my life back in 2009 when I was doing Weight Watchers, and I will give y'all this. I know whatever anyone says, Weight Watchers can work if you stick with the system all the time. But let me tell you about Weight Watchers for me. I lost 65 pounds. My life was very regimented. I had everything laid out, and I did the same thing every day. And I was bored, and I was hungry, and I just learned to live with it. And I was hungry, but my life at the time seemed so fantastic that it made it easier for me to deal with a diet plan, because I wasn't needing to comfort myself, because I didn't feel bad about anything, because my life was grand. My parents were in the prime of middle age and talking about retirement and taking up new hobbies and enjoying being empty nesters, and I was living with a man that I loved, and everything was great. Until one day when I took a 12-mile hike up into the mountains, and when I came back a day later, my mother was in the hospital. That was it. And then she was out, and I went home to help out, and we were trying to figure out what was wrong. And short answer, she ends up at Huntsman in Utah, Salt Lake City. Fantastic hospital, really great people. Had a mass on her pancreas, stage 4 pancreatic cancer with several metastases and a very low prognosis. The doctor had said, quote, he had never seen numbers that high in a person still alive. She fought for 8 months. And in the middle of that 8 months, the wonderful man that I loved asked me to leave. Asked me to give up my life, my home, my job, and go back to my parents' house, because he apparently, quote unquote, didn't love me and hadn't loved me for a year. We'd been together for 3, and my entire world, between losing the life that I was building and losing my mother, imploded. I imploded. This was only 5 years ago, and it was the hardest year ever in a string of hard years. 2 months before my mother died, my uncle died of a melanoma, and a couple years before that, my other uncle died of an intestinal cancer. My family, us grandkids to my dad's side of the family, all lost a parent in less than 5 years. It was awful. It's still awful. It's still awful almost every day. And I'm not saying I wake up sad every day, but some days you just wake up and it's a suck-ass day. It's awful. Because I can't get up in the morning and call her about the song I heard on the radio last night. And I can't do a lot of things that I used to do, because I used to talk to her multiple times a day. She was my best friend, my mother, and I lost her. And I only had 8 months, and in the end, I was there, and she didn't even know. Every time she'd look at me, she'd say, "Hi, I didn't know you. When did you get here?" And I was there all day. So I've gotten kind of set off into thinking about these things because of this person who messaged me, and I'm not upset at you. I want you to know that. You were right. You were right. I'm having a hard week, because what happens with me is I follow a plan, and things work as long as I'm on that plan. And then when it gets thrown out of whack, when things get thrown out of place and off of schedule, then I kind of implode and explode. I mentally implode and I physically explode. And I'm still dealing with the fact that that's the way I used to function. I understand that I have new body chemistry now, and that there's a lot of things that are working for me in my favor that are going to prevent that cycle from continuing to go around. But that doesn't make the fear go away. That doesn't make the memory of the fact that what used to happen when you would get off track even once is that would be it. You'd go round and round and round, and next thing you know, you haven't done any of your stuff for God knows how long. I'm actually a sitting example of it right now. I have not been to the gym in probably 2 or 3 weeks. Shut up, Chad. I just haven't. I haven't felt like going. And I've talked myself into this whole thing where I'm like, losing the weight anyway, who needs to go? But I don't want to lose my strength. I have a lot of things going on right now. My mental place is not that great. It's great enough in the fact that I am aware of still moving through this journey and getting things done and following my eating plan. And I think it might be because I feel slightly not in check about other things, that I'm worried and concerned about getting out of check with my eating plan, because it seems to be the one thing I am keeping on with. Yeah. So in 2009, I had a very bad year until spring of 2010, and after that, after a 65-pound loss in 2009, when life was beautiful and I was blissfully unaware of how terrible things were about to get, I felt amazing. And then everything else happened, and then on came the pounds that I lost, and an additional 40. I was around 290 when I started my weight loss journey with Weight Watchers in 2009. I got down to the 230s, and I jumped back up to 331, which was my high weight. So I worry about these things. I worry about getting off track a little bit and letting it get to me. I do. And I understand that a day is a day in a line of months, in a line of years of a very long journey that is going to be who I want to become. And right now, it's just, today is hard in here and in here, and it's just hard some days. So that's me reaching out and being open and letting you guys know how this whole thing works for me and what's happened with me, if you didn't know. And I don't think I ever really told the whole story about how I lost my mother. And you know, my parents were together for 33 years. My mother was 51 when she passed, and they had never been with anybody else. They got married 2 months after my mom graduated high school, and that whole loss of my mother was difficult and compounded by the fact that I was blissfully not unaware of how broken my dad was. And I fell right into take care of him mode. And now I'm trying to find what take care of me mode feels like. So, I don't really have anything else today. I wasn't planning on making this video, but I was feeling like I needed to talk, and I needed to say my piece, and so I've said it. And now you know a little more about me, and that's okay. And I thank you guys for everything, and for the watching, and for the listening, and the replies, even when they are kick in the pants. Sometimes we need a kick in the pants, yeah? So I'll get with you guys later. Thanks for being ever present and ever around, and I love you all.